Hello everyone and thank you for joining. My name is Brittany and I want to welcome you all to the What's New in Windows 10 for End Users webinar. First, we will talk about a couple optimization tools, then I'll introduce our speaker, Desiree Herman, and she will take over and give her presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to you by Monday. If you do not receive an email or anything that has this recording by Monday, please feel free to email me at brittany.morin@quickstart.com. To optimize your experience during the webinar, feel free to ask questions by clicking on the message icon and typing in the box at the bottom left. If Desiree has time to answer these questions at the end, she will. Otherwise, she'll give you her email address or my email address, and so we can get those questions answered for you. If you do not want to see the chat section, go ahead and click the X at the top of the message box. And now I'm going to hand it over to Desiree, and she will give her presentation. Desiree?
Thank you. Good morning. You should be seeing my screen in about a second. Looks like it's still loading. My name is Desiree Herman. I'm an instructor. I'm here today to introduce you to what is new with Windows 10 for end users. Just basically introduction to all the new features plus any updated features that there are. I have a sorted amount of slides and I only have so much time to get through everything, so as Brittany said, if you have questions, please put them in the chat window and either we will get to them at the end if we do have some time or someone will get back to you. The first thing that we're going to look at is what is new, again, new and updated features. The start menu is one of the big things that is new and different. Most users, when they went from Windows 7 to Windows 8 or Windows 8.1, the start menu was a little bit daunting because it took over the whole screen. Now what we have is we have a panel that opens up a little bit more like the regular Windows 7 or even any Windows version prior to the start menu. So your start menu has changed in that it doesn't take over the entire screen. Also, there's a lot of useful features in the start screen, including you can actually just type the word, whatever application you think that you're trying to open, and there is a lot of intelligence that's built into the start menu. So the next thing that has changed is what's called the Action Center. The Action Center is down on the left or the right portion of the taskbar down on the bottom of your screen is where you can see where the Action Center can be accessed from. It gives you a panel interface a little bit like the start menu, so we're trying to get used to this whole new interface that is being used. The next thing that is a little bit different is they have added a feature where you can actually schedule restarts. So either when your machine updates or if you just want to make sure that your machine does restart on a normal basis, it's a very simple process to access. The next thing is that Cortana is there. Cortana is the tool that is a feature that is available on phones. It is also now available on tablets as well as any other computer that has audio. It is basically a comparable feature to Siri in the Apple market. So what they have done is they have updated it quite a bit. Again, one of the features of the Windows 10 operating system itself is that any user on any device could access things in it. And again, this is an extension of the Windows operating system. The next thing that is a little different but is also backwards compatible is the settings and the control panel. We've always had our control panel that we could get to. If I clicked on Start, I could go to Settings, and then I would find the control panel. Now what they have is they have the settings app, and then they also have our control panel, the application that we're used to using. The next thing that they have updated is they've updated the Windows apps. So if I'm not a business user and I happen to have Windows 10, I have all of the apps that I can use. If I don't have the Office applications, I can use the mail functionality. And they've updated all of those applications with the GUI and the interface, the buttons that you're looking at. Basically, it's all, again, the new interface. Then somebody will be able to help you out, I believe. The default apps, again, they have all been updated. The command prompt, so some users have still continually used the command prompt for things. They've actually brought it into the 21st century finally, and now we can get to the properties very quickly and simply in the command prompt. One of the other things that we've always had in operating systems from Windows is we've had an app switcher, or we could use Alt-Tab to switch between the applications that we were seeing. They've updated that interface, and it is a lot more functional at this point. Snap Assist. One of the features that actually first came out with Windows 7 was the ability to snap your windows if you needed to. And the snap feature itself is something that they've updated into the newer functionality in the newer GUI interface. Another feature that we do have inherently since Windows 8, we've had the ability to have multiple virtual machines on our singular machine, and now what we have is we have an updated interface to look at all of our machines, as if you look down on the taskbar, near the taskbar, I could actually switch between all 5 of those virtual machines, and you see there's a plus sign where I could just create a new one. Another thing that has also changed is they have the Edge browser. The Edge browser, it's Microsoft Edge. Internet Explorer is still around. So one of the other features that they've done is they've given us backwards compatibility. So we still have our Internet Explorer feature. The App Store interface has been updated. So the App Store that we can get to for all of our apps that we may want to connect to, again, thinking that this operating system does have accessibility on phones as well on tablets and laptops and desktops as well. Any touch interface does work with Windows 10, and that's one of the ways that we started to move to when we were working with Windows 8, and it's just gotten better. And the last piece of this is actually the phone companion. And the phone companion is a tool that is very functional with phones, obviously. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch over and show you. I have a Windows 10 machine here. The first thing that we mentioned was the start menu. So here's my start menu. You can customize it as you want to. As you can see, there are features of the old start menu that we see here. The other thing is they've also brought the panels from the Windows 8 interface. So they've kind of melded the two together. I think this is one of the features that's going to bring it to more of kind of a corporate level rather than what happened with Windows 8. When I click on the start menu, so if I just click on the start menu here, if I want to go to my control panel. If I just start typing, so all I did there is I clicked on the start button, Okay, again on the bottom left corner of my screen. And when I click on the Start button, I just type Control. And as I mentioned, one of the features that they do have is they have the apps, and then they also have the desktop app or the application that is Control Panel. So I do still have the traditional Control Panel that I can get to. Or the other feature of that is that I can get to Settings. And Settings, again, is one of the newer apps. The look and feel is different in it. If you'll notice here, this is actually probably something that's really useful to be able to know that you have access to. It might be a little bit more user intuitive. If I click on tablet mode here, you can see that I also do have, if I am on a tablet, it would recognize that. I'm going to go back to display here. So there are at least different functionalities. So another thing that I could also look at is some of the, I wanted to go to the calculator. So some of the applications that we have because we have the operating system, if I click on the calculator here, it's still the basic calculator that we have. Some of the things that you may notice about the newer, both applications and the operating systems, they're replacing the arrow that we're traditionally used to seeing with some of the ellipses. This here is actually the menu, and it's the 3 slashes that I see over there. We still have a close button. Anywhere we are, we have a close button. I did mention the phone companion. There's another feature that is there, and they do also have a phone companion. It's not just for if you have a Windows phone. It's also basically creating the connection between your desktop computer and then an Android or an iPhone as well. Power. If you'll notice power here, if I click on the power button, there you can see there's still the functionality. Turn off my computer. When I'm logged into my computer, I'm logged in with an account, and that's either a personal account, that's a corporate account, depending on where you're using the Windows 10 operating system. File Explorer. File Explorer is going to open up what's called Windows Explorer. One of the other things they have changed a little bit is they've made these applications a little bit different in that they've brought some other functionality forward in them. One of the things they have done is they've brought the push pins, and if anybody is an Office, any Office user, one of the things that you may notice is some of those features from all of our Office applications have come over into the desktop applications as well. And here, if I want to, I could pin this desktop, and that means that the desktop itself is actually going to stay there. If you'll notice, another thing that I have here is I have quick access. So we do have a lot more functionality in the applications that we have inherently. If I expand OneDrive here, what you can see is we also have access to the cloud. So right from our operating system, we have access to the cloud and our applications or our files that we have up in the cloud. I'm going to go back to my Start button again. The other thing that you can do with the Start button is you can also manage what tabs you see here. I did mention Cortana is there. Again, if I don't know what application I'm looking for, I could actually just think about what that might be. So if I was looking for, if I have Word on my machine, I could just type the word. And as it looks for that, what it does is it looks not just for applications, but it also looks for things in the store. So if I don't have that application on my computer, it'll go and find it for me. And again, thinking that I might be on a mobile device. It'll also look for documents that I've recently opened. And also it'll look for references. So it's a lot more intuitive than it ever was. And if you'll notice here, I haven't clicked on anything yet. I did mention what they've done is they've kind of replaced the arrow with other things. If you'll notice on the top right corner here, you can see an ellipse. If I click on that ellipse that's up there, that actually gives me more options. So I could actually program what this is going to look for. Again, there's a lot of intuitiveness in all of the pieces of the Windows operating system itself. The gear button, if you look on below right the home button that I see there, there's a settings button. The other one is the Cortana. If I click on the top button there, or if I click back on my start menu, I just go back to the start menu. We do also have these panels that connect to, if you notice here, I have weather and news is still connected here. As I find an application that I want to put there, so if I was looking for my calculator, and I wanted to put that there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I can pin that to the start, or I can pin it to the taskbar. The taskbar is next to the start button down below. So I can pin that to start or to the taskbar. If I pin that to start, now when I click back on my start button again, now I'll see the calculator. Again, some of the other features that we have. If I go into the settings section, devices that we can connect, there's a lot more devices that we might connect nowadays. So it's not just any printer that we might connect, but as you can see, there are printers and scanners. All of the other types of devices that I could also connect to. You see, there is also inherently in the operating system, you do have spell correct. What happens on autoplay? So media and devices, when I plug in my flash drive, what happens? This is where I can change that. Again, the arrows, as I mentioned, the arrows are kind of changing a little bit. This actually is still an arrow. If I go to personalization here, there's colors, what I'm going to do with my lock screen, the themes that I have. There's a lot more functionality that we do have. Alright, and then the other thing that I also have access to, and if you notice here, when I click on the start here, it's all apps. If I click on all apps, what that does is alphabetically it goes through all of the applications that are loaded on this computer. So I could still get to the all apps, just like we've been able to do in our start menu. Alright, I'm going to go through some of the other functionality things, including snap functionality and things like that. So some of the functionality pieces that we've always had since Windows 7 is that we've been able to use a drag. If I drag to the top, what that does is it maximizes. This is an alternative to using the maximize, restore down, and the minimize button. So again, if I just drag it to the top, it's going to maximize that. And then if I take it back down, it's going to restore it back down. Another feature that we have is we have the snap feature. So there is a snap functionality, and this is what that snap assist does. So I'm going to drag this back down so you can see that one more time. And hopefully everybody can see this. I'll try to do it a little bit slower, so if you have any lag time, you can see it. Again, the feature here is the snap feature, and some people have used it, some people haven't, but one of the things that I do a lot is I like to look at two things right next to each other, but I don't want one on top of each other, and to resize those windows kind of takes a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this, and I'm going to drag it up to the top left corner of my desktop, and as I get to that top left corner, a transparent rectangle shows up on the left hand side, and when I let go, that snaps it to that side of the screen. What this new Snap Assist feature in Windows 10 does is it allows me to see all of the other applications that are open right now. and choose between which one I want to bring over. So now what I can do is I can select on one of these, and you'll see what it does is that snaps that one next to there. So then I can do whatever it is that I need to do in those two applications at the same time. Again, if I want to get back, I can drag any window down. So I hope I did that slow enough so that everybody could at least see it. And again, that's the snap feature, and then the snap assist, which they've added in the Windows 10 operating system. One of the other things that Microsoft has done is developed a lot into the search functionality, so they've also added a lot into Bing. The new Microsoft Edge browser. I'm going to go to the button that's right next to the Start menu on the taskbar down below, and I'm going to click on that. This is search, basically. The search functionality is going to search not just Windows, but also the web at the same time. If you'll notice, this is actually the Cortana circle, so that's the functionality that's being used here. So these are the different types of things that I could search. I suggest anybody that's new to the operating system go ahead and go through this little introduction. It is at least functional to be able to know all the things that you can do with Cortana. The button that's right next to that. This is my task view. Right now, I have two windows open, and what that's doing is that's going to show me which window I want to see on top. So that's the same as if I did my Alt-Tab. I'm showing my second monitor, so I can't show that, but the Alt-Tab does exactly the same thing. Again, that's the functionality, is the task view, and that's always on the task pane down below. The Microsoft Edge browser is another thing that I did mention. I'm going to just click on that so that I can get into the Edge browser. There are a couple things that are a little bit different about the Edge browser. Where is my URL bar is probably the biggest thing that we want to know. If I just click in where I believe that the browser would be, I'm sorry, the URL bar would be, what it does is it actually kind of enables that. So I click there, and then I could type whatever it is that I was going to type. So if I wanted to go to Google. So the Edge browser is still a browser. It's a new name for a Microsoft tool. You do also have, I mentioned that there's the ellipse. If I click on that ellipse there, I can also open any site with Internet Explorer. And again, there's still an Internet Explorer application. So I do still have functionality of using the older applications as well. Along kind of the same lines as when I had clicked on the Start menu and I went to Control Panel. And I mentioned the difference between the app and then the actual application itself. This is kind of giving us the access to both of them at the same time. All right, the other thing I'm going to open up is just a couple of the other applications, and these have been around for at least a little while. But here, if I just do the snipping tool, so I still have those accessories that Microsoft has given us, just like the calculator. So here, if I click on the snipping tool, the functionality is basically the same as it's ever been. I do have a delay button where I could delay it if I want to, so I could delay and move my window. I think that's one of the frustration factors that we have had. So I could delay it for 5 seconds, and then it's not going to kick in for 5 seconds until I can click and move the window that I want to do the snip on, if that makes sense. All right. Looks like we have about 4 minutes left, so I don't know if anybody has any questions at this point in time, but we're open to any questions that anybody does have. So otherwise, what I'll do is I'll open some of the other applications that, again, are a part of Windows. And actually, I'll look for, first of all, I'll look for the App Store. You can see there's the App Store. Notice there's also default app settings. So again, it is pretty functional to be able to know that I can just type whatever it is I want there. If I click on the store here, opens up the Microsoft Store. So there's apps, games. I did mention the Action Center as well. I'm gonna have to show my other screen to show the Action Center. Actually, I'll just pull up that slide real quick here. So again, the Action Center, I'd like you to notice what they've done is they've clicked on, it looks like a little comment box. And the Action Center, so if I'm on a tablet or if I'm on, again, my laptop, wherever I am, I need to look for the wireless. I could click on the wireless button that is down there. The other option that I also have is I could just click on the Action Center, and that shows me, again, not just those basic things, but also things that are new. If you see here, I could clear my Action Center as well. If I'm logged into Facebook, if I'm logged into Twitter, so all the things that I'm logged to at any given time. All right. The other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave my information. And also our company information so that you can see that. Again, does anybody have any questions at this point in time? Anybody want to see anything? All right. I hope the people that were having an issue hearing were able to connect. So.
Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. If anybody does have any questions, once we end the webinar, feel free to email Desiree at the email address that she has up, desiree.herman@360training.com, or you can email me, brittany.morin@quickstart.com, and we'll get those questions answered for you. I just want everyone to know that this webinar was being recorded, and you will receive a recording of it. So if there are any questions after you listen to the webinar, the recording, please feel free to email everybody, myself or Desiree. Thank you all for joining, and thank you, Desiree. That was excellent. And that concludes today's webinar. Thank you, everyone.